Hey guys, what's up? Alright, you know the drill, let's go. So we're going to take all the things we learned in our other Muse episodes, and we're going to add more electronics, more strings, and make it more poppy. Episode done. Alright, so I'm going to go a little bit into detail on what I'm going to be planning on writing, and then we're going to go through the process a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit less falsetto in some of this album because there are actually a lot of parts where Matt uses more of a belty voice rather than a falsetto. Think of Panic Station, think of Madness, the I Need to Love part, or I Need Your Love. Everyone gets that wrong at some point. That part, he only actually sings that in the falsetto in the live shows. In the studio recording, it's just a chest voice belt. He does actually tame down the falsetto at points. There are still the explosive moments, like in Survival. And in Supremacy. The big thing that people get hung up on with this album is that it's kind of like a poppy and electronic venture, at least as far as Muse is concerned. But there are actually a ton of still heavy rock elements in this album. Like, listen to songs like Survival, Supremacy, and Liquid State, which all have some of their most ambitious material. Because we can't write a song that encapsulates every song in the album, I'm just going to do my best to kind of incorporate some of the poppier elements, because we've already written a lot of the rock stuff that's classic to Muse in the other 2 episodes, which you can check out up there if you are interested. So the 3 primary songs that we're going to write this based off of, and the 3 poppiest songs on the album, are Follow Me, Madness, and Panic Station. So all 3 of those introduce something like, in Panic Station we got more of a funky pop element. In Madness we had a monumental build-up and subsequent release, which is one of the most satisfying experiences sonically of my entire life. And Follow Me actually has a heavily underrated instrumental, and I highly recommend you listen to it if you haven't. Just because I'm going to be going more poppy doesn't mean there's going to be an absence of guitars though. The song's going to be still heavily guitar driven. There's just going to be a synth bass rather than a real bass for a lot of the song. And although much of the album is still in a minor key in typical Muse fashion, there's a lot less of the accidental and strange chords, especially in the poppier songs, which I'm going to be trying to emulate. But the whole purpose of the second law was to be experimental and try some new stuff. So I'm not going to try to exactly emulate something on the album, because the whole spirit of the album was trying something different. So it will still have all of the elements of the album that I'm mentioning, but it might not sound exactly like one of the songs in the album, which is a good thing, because we don't want to write the same song over again. Alright, now to move on to the guitar part. So as I said, some of this song is going to be made more electronically, but these are going to be the main guitar parts that are going to run the song. So I have one part which is kind of reminiscent of Panic Station's solo. The second main part is going to be a bouncy octave thing that comes off kind of funky for the verses. And the last section will be kind of like the explosive part, just like in the final sections of Madness, where the song breaks from the norm, and it's going to be just an A minor, dropping the bass down over and over again to the E, just like at the end of Unintended. I know that's not showbiz, but... Again, these songs are pretty simple because they're more in the pop venue. Oh no, pop! I know a lot of you guys hate pop, but I actually really love it. So yeah, let's get into the program. Why is this new thing stealing my chair? Kitty. Baba. Hey. Alright, so I started here with the synth bass. I tried to get it to sound a little bit like the iconic Madness bass sound, so I turned up the attack a little bit here, and that made it sound a little bit less like da 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 and more like wah 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 wah. Here's the line I have so far. So that's going to be going in the background, and then the drums come in just like Madness again. It's a little faster than Madness, and I chose a sample that was really electronic sounding. So those two together are going to be like the whole intro section. Shortly after that, it'll start to build up and get into more of like a funky Panic Station kind of sound. Here's that. So that's going to be going on with some distorted guitar in the background as well, which will kind of sound like bass because it's going to be mimicking the bass line, the synth bass line, and it's going to be playing it on the lower notes. You'll notice here that in the verses I have the velocity, kind of like the intensity that the note is hit. So the velocity is a little lower here, which will make it sound a little more wubby like in Madness, but then when I get into the chorus section where I want it to be a little more punchy and a little heavier, a little more rocky, I turned up the velocity quite a bit, so instead of this tone, you'll get something a little more gritty. It's still the same basic part, but then I overlaid the guitar parts over that in yellow here. So that sounds pretty cool. Then to add a little bit of the dramatic flair that you hear in songs like Supremacy and Survival, I added a little bit of a string section. It's a little extra flair. And that's going to be going over the bridge section, which has this kind of sound. That sounds pretty cool so far. And then for the outro, I added a double time section, which plays the same thing as the chorus, but instead of playing it like doom, 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 or doom, doom, it's playing it doom, doom, doom. But they do it a lot of different times in their music where they'll change stuff to double time in order to change it up without actually changing the notes that they're playing on their instruments. So if you'll hear that here. It's going to be a little heavier, a little faster. That'll be a great outro to differentiate the song a little more. And I still don't get to use my chair, Bubba. Really? What the heck? Why do you get my chair? Meow. Of course, the song has to be about greed and the inability of humans to sustain the way they're currently living because of their excessive greed. Here I have the lyrics that I've written. After all is said and done, we won't have water left. It's owned by few, filters of a life. We are all just slaves to lords. Just try to get ahead. We don't have time to survive. It's pretty much dramatic in the terms of you won't be able to live the life you want to live because you'll be so focused on trying to literally get the tools to survive. And this is what the melody's gonna sound like here. I'll play. I'm just gonna hum it pretty much. Till all is said and done, we won't have water left. It's owned by few, filters of life. That's that part. It's like the intro section, and then here's like the first verse. Save me from a never-ending greed. Save Dave from the power and the greed. Save me, we self-controlled. I think you get the picture. So that's pretty much how the song's gonna turn out, and I'll show you guys the final mix in just a second. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, and if you want to vote on the next video that'll be in the series, then please support me on Patreon, where you will be able to vote on the next band or album I cover in this series. Also make sure you subscribe. Links to the download of the song and the streaming links to the song are in the description below, and keep an eye out for my new single out May 8th, Higher and Higher, if you guys are interested in that. So enjoy the song. Adios. After all is said and done, we won't have
filters of a life. We are all just slaves to laws, just trying to get ahead. We don't have time to survive.